Welcome back. This is Tuna Tech. Happy New Year. At the time of this recording, it is New Year's Eve, and today I got a little bit of retro tech I want to throw your way before the end of the year. So, we have Apple, we have Amazon, we have Samsung. We have these companies making tablets. Google has been in and out of the tablet game for some time. But if you're an Android user and you want a power device or a device for media consumption, your only option is Samsung. Yeah, Lenovo makes a few, and there's some Chromebook ones, but Android-based is very limited. Before Pixel was a thing, Google would partner with third-party developers or manufacturers and develop phones under the Nexus line. So they would leverage Huawei or Asus or Motorola to make the hardware, and then Google would Googlefy or use their software. Well, one of the first Android-only tablets from Google was the Nexus 7. This came out in 2012, and here it is, you guys. I know it may not seem a big deal to you, but this is what put Android tablets at the time a popular choice. During this period, you had the Amazon Fire and you had an iPad mini, which is what it was competing with, and this kind of edged all of them out in terms of display and everything. So what is this thing? This is the first generation Nexus 7. It was co-developed by Google and Asus to run the Android operating system. It's the first tablet in the Nexus line, and it was a 7-inch screen with an NVIDIA Tegra 3 quad-core chip, 1 gig of RAM, Wi-Fi, NFC, either 8, 16, or 32 gigabytes of storage. The tablet was the first device to ship with version 4.1 of Android, or as we know now, Jelly Bean. And it also, they were aiming this towards the multimedia, the Google Play Store at the time. It was kind of a new thing, and they were trying to get it to be a platform for ebooks, television, films, games, and music. So I'm going to power it on, and I'm going to see if it turns on. I've been charging it, but it's an old device, and it came out, like I said, 2012. This is over 10 years old as of right now, and you can see it's powering up. But just to go over it, the code name was Grouper for the Wi-Fi only version, and the GSM version was Tilapia. I believe this is the GSM version because it was prompting me to put a SIM card in, which I do not have to put in this. It was developed by Asus, like we said. It was a Google Nexus, first generation. There was an 8 gig model that came out in 2012, and all models were discontinued by 2013. They sold 7 million of these things, you guys. 7 million, which doesn't seem like much nowadays, but for Android, as you can tell, it's a 7-inch screen, and you can see it's working here. But there's a huge bezel about here and here, and you can see them on the side. So I don't have my Google account actually put in here, but it came with 4.1 Jelly Bean, and it says it ended at 5.1.1, which was Lollipop, which is interesting enough. As you can see right here, it says system update available, and it says the software update will upgrade your Nexus 7 to Android 5.0.2, and I've already done this a few times and it doesn't seem to update because after it downloads and restarts, it's still in 4.4, which is a version of Jelly Bean. The processor was the NVIDIA Tegra 3. It was a 1.2 gigahertz quad-core chip, and it had 1 megabyte of L2 cache and 1 gigabyte of DDR3L RAM. I believe this is the 16 gig version, and one tail sign, this is the 2012 version. This is the first generation. The second generation, which came out a year later, the 7 had the Nexus across this, and then the second version had Nexus across the side here, or vertically or horizontally, however you want to say it. So let's go over the rest of the specs here real quick. It's a 7-inch display, 1280 by 800. It was LCD, IPS LCD, and it had a Corning Fit glass. It was 10-point capacitive. The graphics card was a 416 megahertz 12-core NVIDIA GeForce processor. It had GPS, microphone, gyroscope, accelerometer, and a magnetometer. It only had one camera, as you can see. There's nothing on the back here, and the front-facing camera was right here on top, and it was a 1.2 megapixel camera, and it did HD at 720p. But that required a mod, and I don't know much about modding these anymore. I used to do this all the time, where you'd, update it. And I'm sure there might be some developers out there that are still making Android 11 or 12 for this thing, but I'm not really too concerned about it. It did have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, Bluetooth 3.0, Wi-Fi, BG and N, only 2.4 gigahertz. It did have NFC, which was interesting, and it says it has docking pins, but I have not seen any docking pins on here, so I'm not sure what that's all about. I mean, it's got your micro USB and a headphone jack, but oh, there's your docking pins. So if I can get that in the camera here. So there are some docking pins. I'm assuming that's for some kind of attachment of a keyboard. I mean, if you see how big this thing is, even in this format, the keyboard would be awfully cramped. It had internal rechargeable non-removable battery. It was 4,325 milliamps. It did offer Google Play, as you can see here. I don't have a Google Play Store. It's going to prompt me for an account. And it was succeeded in 2013 by the second gen Nexus 7, aka the same exact name. So let's just go over it a little bit here. It's just gonna be a quick video. I find it fascinating that even after 10 years, there's no battery swelling, aka Samsung, and it's got some chips and stuff you can see here. It's been used. I'm gonna assume this was mine at one point, and my brother, who shout out to him for letting me make this video, he had it sitting on the shelf. I was hoping it had the box too, but it doesn't. So, and this is not the screen peeling right here. This is just a screen protector. As you can see, is one on there. So it's a 7-inch screen, and there's no swipe up. So back of this, you swipe up to get to the Google Assistant, but you hit this little button and here's all the apps. Interestingly enough, this was a factory reset, and it had Super SU on here, which was something interesting I saw. It had Quick Office. It's got Google Earth. Some of these things don't even exist anymore, I'm assuming. And then you have a separate shelf just for your widgets, and you can see you swipe over and you have all kinds of widgets you can throw on the screen here. This was something big for Jelly Bean, and I think it's still important today. It's just utilized a little differently and a little more, I guess, accessible. And then this would be your Google Play widget, and I don't have anything installed here, and there's more Google Play stuff. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really get too far, but if you notice on top, you swipe over here and you get your settings, cast screen, auto rotate, and you can swipe up, and then over here is notifications, and it says here it's ready to install. But I guess we can go ahead and restart and install, but we'll go around here. So here's your SIM card tray, and you've got, looks like a microphone. Then on top, or I should say the top here, there's nothing really on there. And then you get your power, volume, another microphone, and your headphone jack and your micro USB. And it's very basic, but what it did was amazing because it was affordable. It started at $199, and Asus and Google really worked on this for a period of time to get that price at that point. And yes, there were some sacrifices made, but at the time the iPad mini was selling really well, and so was the Fire HD had just recently been announced, and they were competing with that. So, and there you go. This is where it's not working. So being that it's not supported anymore, you're gonna get this error that I won't let me install Android 5.0. So I think that's probably what happened last time, because I had it up and running. So it was upgraded to 5.0 or the 5.1.1, which was Lollipop. That's where it ended its service or its life, but it started out on Jelly Bean. So if you guys want to know more about this, I mean, if you want me to set it up, install some newer games if I can and see how it plays, I have no problem doing that. I just thought it'd be interesting to show you guys where Android tablets started, and at one point were relatively popular, and how they've come this far. I think Android tablets are a heck of a lot nicer than this, obviously, and I think Samsung has a good understanding with their software of how to utilize a tablet the best. But again, this is the Nexus 7 first generation, starting at $199. It's a collaboration with Google and Asus. very common with the Nexus line. They always collaborated with another manufacturer, developed phones and tablets, obviously. And I think what Google's last real tablet was the Slate, the Pixel Slate, maybe. And that was I thought it was a very good tablet, but but compared to the competition, it didn't do well. This competed with the competition very, very well. So again, my name is Jason. This is Tuna Tech. Have a happy, happy, happy New Year. I hope this Throwback, if you guys remember this tablet, or if you've never witnessed a Nexus tablet, now you have. You've seen it, and enjoy the upcoming 2023 year. We'll catch you next year.